Hey, welcome back to another episode of Camp and Camera. Today, we're going to install lights and brakes. Hey, welcome back everyone. I'm super excited about this episode because today we're working on lights and brakes, and that's the last major part of the Teardrop build. After this is done, I'll still have some loose ends to tie up, a little piece of trim here, a little, piece of coating there, just a few little oddball things. But all those together aren't going to be, that much work. But this is the last major, I'm going to call it comprehensive big step of the build. We're going to be installing lights on the camper. We're going to be switching the hubs over to brake hubs and putting that on. So once this is knocked out, then I can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. So let's get started. So the tail lights are both on using the bent aluminum bracket that I made. And I think those are going to work out nice. Let's come around to the front of the camper. I also put side marker lights on the bottom of the frame towards the front. And I just drilled 3 holes and screwed those on. Not much to show there. But now it's time to work our way around to the front of the camper. This is a junction box that the 7-pin, I call it a 7-pin spade connector, will go into. And the junction box has color-coded studs on the inside of it to show where to run all of your lights and everything too. So I'm just going to mount this on the front of the frame. And it comes with a, like I say, I already came with like a 6-foot pigtail on the front. So by mounting it there on the frame, it gives just enough length for the pigtail to be able to plug into the tow vehicle. So let's get that on. So now that the junction box is bolted on the front of the camper, I'm going to go ahead and start wiring in the lights. All the lights are installed now. The junction box is on. I just need to run the wires between it. For me, I think the easiest thing will be to start at the light that is the furthest away from the junction box, the rearmost point on the wiring system, and just start working my way forward. So I'll probably be putting a brown wire to that for the running light, and then I'll just run that brown wire all the way around to the front of the camper, and any other running lights that have to be tied into it, I'll just splice it into there as I work forward. So let's get started on that. Since I fly model airplanes, I have a few lithium polymer batteries laying around, and this is a 3-cell battery. It says it's 11.1 volts, but when you charge it, it actually gets up to around 13. I just checked it on a voltage tester. This one's putting out just over 12. So I'm going to use this to plug my wires into off and on throughout the project, just to make sure that the lights have power to them and everything's working. So it's kind of a handy thing to have. So the lights that I installed on the galley, the third brake light, the running light that's integrated into that, and then the license plate light, the wires for those actually come through the cabinetry and come out here. I just used some spare wire that I had laying around. I used the yellow for the ground because usually you use a white for the ground. I didn't have any white, so I just used the yellow for the ground. The other 2 wires are for the one that's a brown wire is for the running lights, the regular tail lights, and the license plate light. And then the red I'm just using for the third brake light. I'm going to drill a hole in the floor of the cabinet and pull this out the bottom right next to this third marker light in the middle. That way it'll be a nice convenient point to tie it all together. And I put just a couple wire keepers on there to tidy it up. I just want to do a quick check to make sure that the lights are working, that all the wires are the color that I think they're supposed to be. White is ground. This should be the running light. That's the brown. And then the brake light should be the yellow. Yep, looks like we're good. So like I say, since the middle marker light in the rear and the running light on the galley hatch are kind of both the end of the circuit, I'm going to go ahead and run the wire that goes from the tongue into those. And since those are on the end of the circuit, I'm just going to solder all those together. I won't be doing that to the rest, but I will solder the end of them because it's kind of a butt termination. Now, these are the two wires coming out of the marker light at the bottom of the camper, and for whatever reason on this, the white is hot and the black the black is not, and that's kind of opposite of some of the other lights. I don't know why they did that, but I'm glad I tested it with my little battery. That way I found that out. So I'm just going to tie this into the wire from the light on the galley and into the wire that goes to the tongue. I'm just going to tie all those three together and solder them. So I soldered in the very back running lights that are going to be at the end of the circuit, and they're the furthest point away from the tongue or the junction box. And my plan is to run that brown running light wire from those rear lights all the way around the side of the frame and up to the junction box. And any running lights that that are placed along that route, I would just tie into that wire. Well, I picked up some of these waterproof, I'm going to call them wire taps. Basically, you just clip this on the long brown wire, and any light that you want to branch off of it, you stick a wire, into there, and you just close this whole thing up and snap it together. It's basically supposed to join those two wires into one. I thought, well, hey, it's waterproof. It'd be easy and quick. I'll just buy these. I'm just going to tell you, these things are junk, absolutely junk. I bought the best and most expensive ones that I could find. They're brand name, Dorman, I think. They got some kind of gel in where they're waterproof, and they look pretty nice. I used one. I actually used two of these. I tied in the rear running light that's fixed into the brake light assembly, and then the side marker light, and only one of them worked. So I took them back off, and I'm just going to solder those in too. So right now, I don't plan on using these. I plan on just soldering everything. That way I know I'm not going to have an issue. Alright, right in the middle of the teardrop build, working on the lights, getting real close to having those knocked out, and my wife tells me that her clothes dryer has just laid down on her. Oh man, so I'm going to have to, goodness knows what I'm going to have to do to the clothes dryer. Hopefully it's something minor, but it looks like I'll be taking it apart because you got to have some dry clothes. So anyway, that's all the light installation for today. Hopefully I can get this dryer knocked out and get back to the camp easy here pretty shortly. So hey, if you like this episode, give me a thumbs up. And until next time, take care. We'll see you on the road.